Okay. In broadcast. No. We are live. Yay. Okay. Hey, everyone. How are you doing? I love you. I miss you. It is good to see you. Thank you so much for joining us for another live show with Whosoever Will. We are a work in progress, and I am learning how to multitask with all these different things with Whosoever Will. And it is an interesting journey, that to say the least. But I am thankful for the pathway. I'm thankful for what God is revealing to us each and every day. And I am especially thankful for Keisha and all the other implementation team members who are on this journey with us. They are just so awesome and supportive. I just can't really describe in words how thankful I am. There's no real way to do that. So I just have to say thank you. We are here and we are doing a show on uh, political dark money. This is a very interesting topic. And the range of responses are is extremely interesting. Even as Keisha and I get into it, you'll see how people process this information is completely different depending on your perspective, depending on your experiences. And to me, that is very healthy. That is the point of Whosoever Will, is to honor different people's perspectives, to recognize that you don't know everything, and that when the body of Christ comes together, we're able to see better when we bring those different perspectives together. So I'm looking forward to the growth process that comes out of this show as well as the other shows that we do um, with Whosoever Will. And as you all have already known, this is Keisha Ventus, and she is a valuable member of the Whosoever Will implementation team. And she has agreed to join me today on this conversation. And I'm excited to have you here. Keisha, you want to tell us just initially what your thoughts were about the topic of dark money? Tell me what you thought, Ladybug.
Well, I guess in looking at it, I feel like the topic alone of dark money should be a trigger for us to pay attention. I mean, it just basically kind of proves my own personal theory of the fact, my own personal theory, let me repeat that one more time, of the fact that politics is a charade, that we are not informed as a people, and that we are being pacified by ideas. And the whole topic, the fact that it is a topic, the fact that dark money is a thing, um, it's a thing, it's a topic. You can Google it and get results. That alone, it's nothing about what's been said. It's nothing about the details of dark money. It's nothing about what happens when you click on the per se link. It is the fact that it is a thing, whether we like it or not, whether we want to, I don't know, accept it, believe it or not, it's a thing. And as far as our futures, as far as what's going on in 2022, we as a people, the real people, the real people, because there's a divide. We all know there's a divide and we don't talk about it, and we all act as if there's not a divide. And the topic of dark money is a clear example of that divide. And it is a clear example that we, the people, need insight on said dark money, our money, taxpayers' money. This money got to come from somewhere. And if it's coming off the backs of hardworking Americans, taxpayers, us that are paying more taxes than, other tax brackets, I just feel like it is something for us to investigate, understand completely, and have answers to. And I mean, I think, you know, on my own personal opinion, it's the answers, the making it make sense to the public that has to deal with it. That is my main goal, if that makes sense. So.
It does. It makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense. So, what I'm going to do is share this screen with everyone now so that we can kind of talk about what dark money is for a moment so that everyone can have a perspective. Let's see. If you are on Instagram, I'm unable to share my screen with you all, so I apologize for that. However, everyone else will be able to see what we're talking about. So, dark money is, let's go over this definition here and I'll zoom it in a little bit. There is no legal definition of dark money, but it is generally has been understood to mean the funds spent to influence politics by nonprofits that do not disclose their donors. And these groups are usually incorporated under the tax code as social welfare advocacy groups or business leagues. And legally, these groups are allowed to spend money on partisan politics. It is not supposed to be their primary purpose. So, in other words, like for example, one of the examples that I used with for talking with Keisha was if you're, an animal rights organization, your focus is supposed to be animal rights. So if you have a politician or a candidate that is supporting your interest in animal rights, then you can give to that particular organization. Um, and so, hi, Miss Mentrisa. I just have to say that because she's logging in and telling us hi. Miss Mentrisa is another member of the Whosoever Will implementation team and is a blessing. By the way, we will be on with Mentrisa next Sunday as we talk about the next pillars on Whosoever Will. So please join us for that. Another definition of dark money is secret spending in our elections by wealthy special interests known as dark money. Wealthy special interests use illegal. They say it's illegal, but technically, I don't really think it is illegal. Deceptive may be a better description than illegal. Tactics to inject massive amounts of secret money into elections, which allows them to rig the political system in their favor. We really need transparency about who is spending big money on elections to reduce corruption and increase the responsiveness of our political system to voters. So, those are two definitions. Um, and we are going to continue this topic. So as we learn, we're going to share what we learn with you all. However, keep in mind that as we learn, we're a work in progress. So from what I can understand about dark money, it's like they use the nonprofit organization as the middleman. So, if you have a company or a business or a person, a wealthy person who wants to contribute to a particular campaign, they can use the organization as a middleman because the nonprofit organization does not have to report who gives to them. Okay, that you only get the report of the nonprofit organization, and all additional resources are able to be kept confidential, um, or moderately confidential. Um, Dark spending increased from less than 5.2 million in 2006 to well over 3 million in 2012 presidential cycle, and more than that 174 million in the 2014 midterms. In the 2020 election cycle, there was more than 1 billion in undisclosed spending. For that money, 514 million was spent to help the Democrats and 200 million was spent to help the Republicans. A New York Times analysis found that after a decade spent attacking undisclosed political spending on the right, the Democratic Party embraced dark money with fresh zeal, spending over 1.5 billion in undisclosed cash in the 2020 election cycle and outspending the Republican Party. What I found so far when it came to dark money is initially it was something that was done a lot with the conservative side of things, and then they changed. And I guess the Democratic Party said, since we can't beat them, we're going to join them because You will see that there were a lot of laws that were tried to pass on the Democratic side to prevent the use of dark money, but they were thwarted and stopped multiple times. So I guess they figured, okay, well, we'll just do it too. So one of the things, let's see, I'm going to roll here. One of the things that people say, or the concerns that people have in reference to dark money, is their concern is, how does this affect our voting? How is it is this yeah, is this dollar amount, excuse me, is this dollar amount affecting the way people perceive the fairness of the election? It is the loudest voice getting the one that's heard, that kind of thing. So the argument is the fact that people are not going into the election booth with a clear, unbiased, untainted view of who's running and why they're running. No, they're going into the election booth with the person who has paid to be heard, is the argument that is made in reference to um, dark money. So, Mr. Stein, who now focuses on finding common ground between parties, worries that the increased will usher in an ominous new dark money arms race and further undermine fraying public trust in government and elections. And I think that's the part that, and I'm gonna let Keisha jump in at this point. I think that's the part that Keisha's talking about, is the fraying public trust. If if people don't uh, that if people don't believe that there is any balance to the election, then why bother having one? Why bother participating? Um, and talk some more. I know you've mentioned it, Keisha, but you want to jump in here and see, is this what you're talking about? The fraying trust in the fairness of the government and the elections in and of itself?
Basically, but I'd like to say it, I guess, a little to sum up everything that you just read. And if I had to break that down to people that I talk to every day, basically what you just described is, you said middleman. In our language, we understand it as, so basically it's a front. And if we're looking at it, it's basically another way for the government and or, don't say that word, okay, the political
Machine
foundation,
foundation.
the political foundation, the foundation that politics was built on, found another way do to basically commit money laundering. Like, let's call it what it is. It's money laundering. So what you just said was, if I am Joe Blow and I want to go in for arms and I want to make sure that you're not going to vote against my guns that I'm trying to keep, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a nonprofit to save the bunnies, right? And what I'm going to tell you is, I really want to save the bunnies and this is my interest. Now, I'm not slow. And what I like to let people know is, I like for people to understand humans. Not only am I not slow, I've also worked in the restaurant industry for a long time. And I like to let people know that a restaurant can be very public and very private at the same time. It's a beautiful place to go to have very private discussions. So the discussions that you have on camera versus the discussions that you have at a restaurant are going to be very different. So I have my foundation for Save the Bunnies, and I am all over talking about Save the Bunnies. But all in all, I got AKs and 47s and military grade weapons that in my head I have a right to own. And I want to make sure that I don't care what else is going on in America, I'm going to protect my right. And this is just my personal opinion and my synopsis of what I read into things. And so I'm going to present you with this donation because I believe that you are for what I'm for. I'm also going to take you out to dinner and make sure you're for what I'm for. I mean, there's no easy way to say that. And that is why topics like dark money and this new this new topic of politics needs to be said, because there's too many people that they don't know why they're not trusting the voting system. Well, I'm gonna tell you why, because you can't. And the fact that dark money is a thing or a topic is just the perfect example of why you can't. Now, again, not attacking going to vote. Everybody, please go vote. You do not want to be in trouble. But I am saying, if you're going to put forth the effort and the energy to go vote, don't do that thinking that that's your 2 cents to society. Don't do that. No, it's not enough to just go vote. Go vote, but put your energy into demanding questions and demanding answers. Put your energy into, not only am I going to vote, but I'm going to make sure that what I'm voting for, I'm going to make sure they have somebody to answer to. Let's put it like that. um, you are going to have to answer me. You're going to have to answer my questions. If you say that this is the issue that you're for police reform, and this is an issue that I am voting for you because you're for police reform, then it shouldn't be enough for me to just be able to say, oh, well, I voted. So I made sure that I did my part towards police reform. How do I know that? Because how do I know that I didn't vote for a candidate that is already paid to go against it? And I don't care what happens, what you say. What matters is when y'all get in that big room and y'all start signing the papers and talking. And this is me talking, saying that I am not a politician. I have not gone to school, which I don't know how many of them have or what that did for them or whatever, but it's obviously not working. So now it's not enough for me to just say, well, I'm going to vote, but that's it. I did my duty. No, I'm going to vote, I'm going to investigate, and I'm going to look into groups and people who are going to get me answers from said candidates. I'm going to hold said candidates accountable. It is not enough to just vote, because we've seen time and time again, we vote for people and then they get in there and do crazy stuff on our behalf. And we somewhere looking like, Republicans and Democrats, all of us, because let's be for real, the real Republicans and Democrats, a lot of us get along. A lot of us have the same views. A lot of us just want to live our lives, send our children to school. We want to be able to eat. We want to be able to live a comfortable life. And so, if our needs are not being looked at because the people who have money to pay for their needs to be looked at, and we don't have that type of money, well, then what we need to realize is there's more of us than it is of them, and their job is to serve us, and we need to get back to that. The whole concept of dark money only bothers me because it is literally proof that the system is not real. It's not what we think it is. It's bought and paid for. And the other system that we are being spoon fed is a pacifier. When we start to cry, they pacify us. When our kids are getting shot up in schools, let's give them a pacifier. Well, hey, here, you go, stand up in the front and tell them that you're going to fight for gun control. I mean, you're not going to get it or nothing, but just go tell them that you are, so that they can be pacified, so that they can vote for you and feel like they did something. And y'all ain't do nothing. It was already paid for. It was paid for. And whoever got up there and stood up there and played the part or played the role or whatever, that was paid for too. So there, I mean, I'm not going to say that there are no politicians or people in said politics that don't have the heart, but I am going to say a lot like, don't say that, please. Okay, so what I am going to say is that sometimes when you're such the minority that you literally don't have a voice, it's a possibility, because the people that you're supposed to represent, because every person in politics, every judge, every person that we vote for is supposed to be representing us. So that person is supposed to have all of us behind them. In theory, that's the concept. If I go out to vote for you, then that means when you show up, I show up. So when you show up to sign the bill, I want to show up to sign the bill too. Because really, that's what it needs to be about. How many people showed up to sign the bill? Because I want to show up too. I voted for you. You signing this bill on behalf of me. I need to be there to sign it to make sure you sign my name in the right place. We as the people need to be there to make sure that our names go where you said our names was going to go, and our votes count for what they're supposed to be counting for, because they're obviously not. And it's not something that you have to guess or have some type of law degree to understand. You just have to stop, think for yourself, and want to know. I mean, it can be a scary thing to know about dark money. Dark money sounds scary because it is, because ain't none of y'all got it. I ain't got it. I wouldn't be sitting here. So ain't none of us got it. So the people who have it are scary. They're scary people. Why? Because they're all trying to get over on all of us. They're all trying to eat off of all of us. They don't have us in mind. They don't care. And that's a problem. I would rather pay for my initiative than the initiative of the people. Shouldn't even be able to do that and call this a democracy, dare I say. And again, I say that on a strength of, this is my own personal opinions, but these are the things that I observe, and these are the things that concern me as a quote unquote voting citizen. If I go out to the polls all the time, now I got to go back. I didn't want to go the last week I went, and now I got to go back because y'all think the fact that this is even about to be a runoff election, and I'm not going to even put my political thoughts into that, says that the system is broken. I don't care. I don't care who you are. You have to answer to the actions of your candidate. And the actions of your candidate say that that should not be a close call at all. What are we looking at? You know what I mean? Is this the man that has say so in our education system? Is this the man that has say so in our tax system? This who we voting for? Or are we voting for the next celebrity, voting for the next person that we want to take a picture with? I don't, I'm just tired of living in a life where people just accept what is happening when there's definitely, again, more of us than there is of them. And we need answers. Dark money shouldn't be a thing at all.
Um, well, before I give my 2 cents, let me read what Mentrisa says. Mentrisa says, yes, we need more insight about dark money. And she says, I felt like the political candidates are selling their morals to the highest bidder. Was her take on the
What
issue
more?
of dark. I in the ref in the for this is my personal opinion, everyone, so that you all can know that whosoever will is about coming together and edifying each other with our perspectives. You'll note as in all of our shows, and my cat, by the way, is deciding that she really wants to get on national camera. So I apologize for that. Hopefully she'll lay down because now I've got cat hair everywhere. Um, but what was I saying? Oh, whosoever will is not about controlling your voice, the voices of our members, the voices of the implementation team. This is about people coming together with the same priority, which is Christ. Okay, and once we have come into agreement that our priority is Christ, is our main priority. Now let's talk about the issues. Let's bring your perspective and your perspective and your perspective. So, whosoever will is going to be having a lot of group discussions about different things, and you'll note that the purpose is to bring together information in order to develop amongst those people that have Christ as their priority. So you'll never see me on here telling other people what they should think. You may see me on here saying, why do you think that? Or can you explain the reason why you think that? You'll see me explaining why I think the way I think. But ultimately, our pathways are determined by our personal relationship with Father. And because I am not Keisha's God, I'm not anyone's God. I I cannot do that for them. That is a very important distinction that you'll notice within Whosoever Will. And I wanted to make that point as we talk about dark money. Okay, so my perspective is that I do believe our votes matter. I don't believe they matter as much as they should matter. Do I believe that people pacify us? Yes, I do. Most definitely. However, the reason why I believe our votes matter is because we have voter suppression. If our votes didn't matter, then why would we have all of this redistricting after a vote? Why would there be all these laws that people pass in record time to stop people from voting? Why would in some states it be illegal to vote on Sunday? Why is it that we close the polls while people are still at work? So, in my personal opinion, you would not go through all of that work to suppress a vote that didn't matter. Now, does it matter as much as it should? No, I don't think it matters as much as it should. Um, and I believe, and I come into agreement with Keisha's point, is I think the problem has come in the fact that um, we have thought that our duty to our country, to our communities, to our neighbors, and first and foremost, our duty to our Heavenly Father as disciples of Jesus Christ ended with just voting. And Whosoever Will says voting is where you start, not where you finish. Okay. And that is the distinction. We have no interest in just getting out the vote. We have no interest in protesting. We're interested in getting down to the as black folks say, nitty gritty, the inside part of why things are functioning the way they are, so that we can be informed and equipped to do the next level. Um, and so that's it, it's a slower process to get things going. It's more tedious, and the members of Whosoever Will, you have to do more work, you know. And as you know, a lot of people, they don't want to even go out and vote, let alone spend week in and week out checking behind a particular representative or politician. Unfortunately, we've come into this culture where we just want to do the least amount of work, the least amount of effort in order to get things to be productive. And Whosoever Will is not in support of the least amount. We're in support of going all out in order to fulfill the will of God for our lives and be a blessing to other people. So hopefully, I see my screen is going in and out when it comes to Facebook and YouTube. I'm not sure what that is. Um, these are all just really wonderful experiences. I tell you what. Um, so, but I will continue going on. I'm going to share the screen again, and we're going to talk. Oh, there was something else I wanted to say before I shared the screen. But I can't remember what it was, so I guess it'll come back to me. Um, so the next screen I want to say, I'm going to present both sides of the argument in reference to dark money. And this particular person says, and for those on the left who decry a flood of money into politics, the answer is simple: support a smaller government. The only reason we need an army of lobbyists, or why campaigns for the presidency cost billions and for the US Senate or governor tens of millions, is because the government regulates and runs every aspect of our society. A smaller government that didn't wield so much power wouldn't be worth spending so much to shape. It is only because so much is at stake in who holds public office that so much money is spent to influence elections. Keisha, what do you say to this person?
Um, I mean, I think that's a legitimate point. There is a lot at stake, um, and there's a lot more than we think is at stake. Because again, if you're talking about a system that's built off of things we don't know, There, that you have to look into the fact that that has to be protected, and especially nowadays where you do have candidates that are in there that have, I said earlier, what morals, because a lot of the majority of the people in there show us their morals. And I mean, I don't say that loosely. I don't say that to even kind of be condescending, I say that because I'm looking at the candidates. But there are some candidates that are in there now that, they're looking around and they're trying to figure things out. And I feel like there is a wall within politics that says, okay, so a couple of different views slip through the cracks, but we still have a whole system to protect. We still got things to protect. So it is very important to them who gets in, as far as I'm concerned. As you can see, I'm not very trustworthy. And that's just, again, based off of experiences and living this life. It's hard to be trustworthy trusting if you are constantly shown that you have to go behind and check and see, or that you're constantly looking like, why is this not an issue? Where do I go to make it an issue? Who do I vote for? Or who do I call to make this education system an issue? Or who do I call to make this, you know, um, police reform in this area an issue? And again, to go just to touch on what you said, as far as the voter suppression and all of that, understand that there are places that, let's just say, there's certain people that we might not want in. There's more than one reason to suppress a vote. You see what I'm saying? If you're like, okay, well, this person's gonna get in. There's no way we can control all of these people. You see what I'm saying? But these smaller places over here, we can control some of this. We can control what's going on over there, because we can't have them coming in and actually making changes. We can have one loudmouth over here that we can, gang up on and sit down. But what we can't have is more than one loudmouth, because then it's going to be, wait a minute, we gotta actually start answering these people. We gotta actually start, we gotta keep it tight now, because they're going to eventually get in there and find out, which is why, is the black vote important? Yes, because it is the one that's changing things. We're the ones who have been voting for the least amount of time. So it makes sense that it is the one that's changing things. And yes, it is going to be the one that's going to make people upset, because it's the one that's getting people in there that are going against the grain. So voting suppression makes sense in a sense that, how can we stop some of them at least? Because we can't let everybody who's going to be opposed to our system, or opposed to our play, or opposed to our little charade, we can't let everybody in, because then we might be outnumbered. I mean, in a sense, it's very hard sometimes to take it seriously if you really out here living life. It's hard to watch them do the things that they do in the name of politics, when you've got real people out here living real lives with real issues. You've got a mental health crisis going on out here that we got to live in. Y'all in the hills, y'all don't have to live in this, but you got a mental health crisis full of veterans that you guys created with your, anyway. But you have these types of issues that we have to live with, yet we are told to vote to do our thing and then sit down. And we're looking at this like, so y'all not gonna fix this? And they're like, nah, I think we're gonna send billions because they're fighting over there in this other country. Billions? And we don't need to know where those billions coming from, because what are you doing to get the billions? Where are you getting them from? Who's paying you? Because if you're servants of the people, we're paying you. So do we have a say so in any of them billions? Can we have a couple of them billions? Because we got like a lot of homeless veterans out here that people are starting to get annoyed with and desensitized to actual humans and human rights. We got stuff like that going on out here. It does not make feasible sense to me, you know, outside of law. And we shouldn't have to have law degrees to be able to live a peaceable life, because we're promised that in the Constitution too. And so, when it comes to putting certain candidates in play, or even suppressing votes to keep certain candidates out of play, it could be the small fries that they worried about. It could be the no names that they worried about. But if we're going to, we can't trust you. You've already proven that you can't be trusted on more than one occasion, and that is my particular prayer and hope out of what I'm looking for. It is not to walk around and just say, "Oh, the system is broken." Oh, this is not that. It is to walk around and say, "Hey, the system is broken. Let's all talk about it. Let's get together and let's figure out how to fix it." Because as a people, we should be able to do that. And if the people who are in leadership right now cannot do that, then we need to find someone who can. And they need to actually prove to us that they can, and talk to us about what's going to happen, when we can see it happen, what it's going to look like as it's happening for us. We'll hear about education reform and don't nobody see nothing. We'll hear about police reform and they'll say it, but where do you see it? Where are we supposed to see it? What is it supposed to look like? So I can't really say that I'm ready to get behind a candidate as much as I'm really just ready to say I'm ready to get behind a system change in general. What candidate is going to listen to me say, "Nah, for real though, but what are you gonna do? How do I know you're gonna do it? What is it gonna look? Are you ready to explain? Do you even care enough to explain that to someone like me? Because I ain't nobody out here. I don't have no name. So my name not Cardi B. Do you want to talk to me? you know. But I did bring a kid up through the education system, and I can't tell you how it's broken firsthand. I'm smart enough to do that. I did bring a kid up in a neighborhood where the police force was all out of hand and needed to be reformed. And I can tell you my opinions as a community member, as someone who's actually a part of the society that we live in, not someone who lives in a 4-story mansion in the hills who never touches what I see outside on my sidewalk every day. And I look around and I see other people walking around with me. More people walking around with me than sitting in that room that we all see on TV. Y'all sitting in them chairs, y'all not breaking the sweat. Ain't none of y'all skinny, so you're not missing no meals. But we out here, and we're somewhere like, "Hey, please help us." And they're like, "Yeah, so the rabbits, we got to do something about the rabbits in North Carolina." These are the things that I'm saying when we're saying, as far as getting the right candidates in place, let's get the candidates back in order. Let's reorganize what the criteria for a candidate should even be. Because I mean, at this point, it's hard to see where you can trust the system to work at all. And I think that is the problem. And as far as voting, sometimes I guess in my head, I wonder, what if we all just said, "You know what? Nope, we're not participating. We don't want to pay y'all." I don't know how to fix it. So I'll never ever claim to be that person, but I will continue to ask questions because I need it to make sense. I'm not worried about the candidates anymore because you don't make sense to what's going on in this life. Don't know what life they're living. So when we're talking about dark money, we're talking about, again, amounts that the average American can't fathom in a lifetime. And we're talking about that in one transaction. When we're talking about dark money, we're talking about, what did you say? Donations, or let me have a dinner for you. And what we'll do is we'll charge $2,000 a plate, and everybody can dress up and come. $2,000 a plate? I don't want for the plate. When we are out here again, all we want to do is be able to live. And that's what you guys are supposed to be doing. So when you're saying, like, yes, our votes matter, they are supposed to matter, but they're not going to matter if that's all that we are. led to believe that we have to do. Um, so maybe what I should do is change what I'm saying to, we shouldn't change the criteria of the candidates. We should change the criteria of the voters, because as voters, maybe we need to start thinking differently. If I'm a vote, I should be able to knock on that door. Hey, you don't want us all knocking on that door at different times? Y'all might want to organize a way where y'all can show us what you're doing. But the topic and the issue of, I can start a foundation and I can call it a nonprofit. I can start. I've looked into that before. It's not the hardest thing to do, and I definitely bet you could get it done if you got, thousands upon thousands. If you can pay $2,000 for a plate, I'm sure you can get a nonprofit. I'm positive. So if getting a nonprofit is not even a big deal for someone who has millions, for them to persuade a candidate, how can we persuade a candidate? We really can't. And it's like, we need to open our eyes as the people who live in this country and say, yeah, we're really tired of playing this game and now we need answers. Because, see, they don't give us no answers until we show up in numbers demanding stuff. And even then, they still give us what they want.
You said a lot there, so I'm just going to let everyone marinate on it. I am going to make a comment about this person on the screen and what they said about big government versus small government. Um, my issue with those people who are anti big government, my personal issue is, I'm like, give an example. Give an example of something you think is too big. And from my limited understanding, everything that people call too big was put in place because somebody was using, manipulating, stealing, destroying, killing. Do you understand what I'm saying? I mean, if you take the effort for us to control gun laws, no one woke up and said, "Oh, let's create a bunch of laws to control who owns guns." No, we kept having mass shootings, so now we need to have laws about to type of control. Or if you talk about uh, animal, like, endangered species, and they say, oh, the government's trying to control everything that we're doing in reference to hunting. Well, you're killing an entire species of animals, and we want you not to kill the entire species. Or if you talk about um, uh, the FDA and how they're trying to control the quality of the food. Well, if you weren't creating poor food that was killing people, the FDA would not need to step in to try and control it. So from my understanding, those things that people call big government were in response to some sort of detrimental thing that was going on in our society. So until someone can show me where government, to me, the fact that we have big government is the fruit of the fact that we don't care about our neighbors, or the fruit of the fact that it's just about my own personal profit, or the fruit of the
Definitely.
fact that, I don't care what happens to nobody else, as long as I'm making the dollar bills. So if if we want to get to why government had to step in this situation and that situation, until someone shows me a situation where government just randomly started to take an initiative to do something for no reason, then I'll say, okay, maybe government is sticking their nose where it doesn't belong. But to my knowledge, everything was a response to some sort of misuse or injustice that was going on in the community. So for someone to say, "Oh, well, we need to," don't get mad at me because I'm spending a lot of money because the government's too big anyway. No, 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 no. The government's
Mm,
big because you were trying to get a lot of money.
right,
So
right,
that's it's like, what comes first, the chicken or the egg kind of thing. Um,
definitely.
yeah. So that's my take on the whole big government. um, thing. And again, as we learn, if someone shows me somehow that government is not responding. See what I see is whenever we see some sort of misuse or injustice, there are those people who want us not to respond and act like it's not happening, and there are those people that try to respond. Now, you can criticize a person for the way they're responding to the injustice or the loss. You can say, "Oh, well, that's not a good law" or whatever. But if all you're doing is saying, we let's do nothing when you see something, I have a problem with that. I'd rather somebody try to fix something than to sit there and say, "Oh well, sorry you lost your family member to food poisoning, but we're not going to change anything. We're not going to make it better." That kind of thing. So, uh, again, my
I
screen.
think
Go
I
ahead.
think the problem though is it's not so much that they stepped in to make something better. It is when you step in to make something better and money becomes bigger than you making it better. I think that is my issue with big government. It is not so much that it was in a response. It was in a response to a great thing. But when money and greed and control get involved, it counteracts what it's supposed to be doing. Even i.e. the welfare system was supposed to be a great thing until someone figured out we can control this in a way and we can somehow, be it financially, be it power, be it, we can somehow control this. So my thought to the FDA is in response to a family member dying of food poisoning, we need to say that, hey, this is not okay. And we need to now monitor how this is prepared, and that type of thing. At the same time, when the powers that be get in and make it harder and harder and harder for us to get the actual good food that we need, and we are now being told that the FDA says that this needs these preservatives, so we're putting them in there and you have no choice but to eat them, and we're going to regulate your food source and supply, whether you can have farms or not, who can have farms and where they come from. See, that is where I'm not against big government. I'm against big government that cannot be touched and or checked, because the problem is not that you were in response to something. Yes, that was an honest thing. But then this person got involved, this person got involved, this person right here that's about to get involved, they no good, none whatsoever. So when they get involved, it automatically becomes not what we need. So I guess my issue with the big system is the concept of the checks and the balances. It's who controls them though, who gets to say. We've seen this time and time again with big corporations that hide stuff from us, and then it ends up being detrimental because the government that's supposed to be protecting us, there was a breakdown in there where there are no checks and balances, and it's now it's untouchable by us, and now it's a control thing. And it's that, I guess, is the part, not to say the term, I'm sorry, I'm going to read a comment
Yes,
on it.
please do.
The term big government is used as a defense against something that is disagreed with.
hmm Another, what this person is saying is that the term "big government" is something that people say is, "Oh, if I don't like what it is the government's doing, oh, the government's too big," is what this particular person is saying. It's just
Okay.
their response instead of actually looking at what a person is doing, or what a law is doing, or what a policy is actually going to do. We'll just say, "Oh, big government's getting in the way, and they shouldn't be there." That's what I believe this person is trying to say.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely believe that what it should not be is uncheckable. I think that's my biggest issue, I guess, with any system at this time is the amount of uncheckableness. I guess that's for lack of better words in my vocabulary that I can find right now. It's the amount of uncheckableness. It's the amount of non accountability that there is, let's say, up there. You understand? Getting back to Christ centered. The point is, if we do get back to a more Christ centered system, meaning the people have the ability and the tools necessary to govern and act accordingly, and that's where we as a society need to get back to. And that right there to me is big. It's bigger than the government. It is having to get people to come back to a place where we're not being told how to think, where we understand how to think. We should be thinking in reference to treating someone the way that we would want to be treated, because that's what all of us want. And somehow losing that in itself is, I think, the very bare basis of government. Um, the basis of government is, I need to love you as much as I need to be loved from you. And if love is just step to the side a little bit when I'm walking down the street, and I'm gonna step to the side a little bit when you walking down the street, and we not gonna run into each other. And if that's all the respect that I owe you, and that's all the respect that I respect in return, we have governed each other accordingly when we was walking down the sidewalk. And that's the very bare basis of it. I'm not trying to get over on you. I'm not trying to intimidate you. I'm not trying to bully you. I'm just trying to walk down the sidewalk. And I know that's what you're trying to do too. And as a people, somehow we need to get back to the concept that we all got to live here. Division is literally an illusion, because we all have to live here. Like, so getting answers, or creating a system, or even creating a group of people to be able to hold the system accountable. Because again, big government is, to I look at that as, that's just not being able to be checked. Nobody can come up into the White House and go talk to the president, and say, sit down, hey, explain this to me. None of us have the right to do that, and we don't ever think about that. If you are that one, and none of us, most of us, don't even know anyone who has the right to even ask you a question.
Again, I apologize to everyone for my camera on StreamYard. It is not working, and I'm not sure what it is. So, but we're going to get through this show one way or the other in the name of Jesus. Um, let's share this screen. I'm going to do a full, let's see what happens when I do this one. That's okay. I'm going to do this here. Um, and share the screen again. Let's see.
So, really quick, while you're doing that, in
Okay.
reference to money, I guess one of my questions was, um, or no, one thing I wanted to clarify was in reference to these donations from these nonprofits. The nonprofits do not have to disclose that they are making the donations.
Um, again, we're going to continue to research this, but from what I understand, like for example, is the nonprofit organization itself, whatever the organization itself, they have, if they give money to a particular thing, they have to tell who they give it to.
The IRS, or
Actually, there is a election. Um, there's two ways to give. Hold on, let me entire screen. Why is this not working, Holy Ghost? Share. There we go. Okay. Um, there's multiple ways that a person can give to an election, and there's reportable money and there's non-reportable money. So, from what I understand, nonprofit organizations in and of themselves, they do not have to report the money that is given to them. So if you Keisha Incorporated were a big business and you decided that you wanted to give to a particular candidate that you know an organization supports, then you can give through the nonprofit organization, because nonprofit organizations do not have to tell everyone else that you gave to them. Does that make sense? Now, the
Hmm.
nonprofit has to report, we're doing this, we're supporting that, but they don't have to say Keisha gave us our money.
Okay.
Does that make
I understand.
sense?
Hmm.
And we will continue on this topic. So as we're
Because
learning, go ahead.
I would definitely be interested in, I mean, as an being able to maybe have a source of information on things like that. You know, who's to say the average American is busy? We don't necessarily have time to listen to everything, but is there, you know, play, places that we can go to find out those kind of answers? Who's giving to what types of people, what types of companies and corporations, or at least what types of nonprofits are giving?
Exactly, exactly. And my issue, quite frankly, and you all forgive me because my camera is getting on my nerves. Um, let's see if I can plug it, replug it. Where it was. I'm going to keep talking on Instagram, and Miss Keisha, you just keep your eyes on StreamYard, because no one is seeing me on StreamYard right now.
Hmm.
Um,
I can't see the comments on StreamYard
what
though.
was it that you said?
I'm sorry.
You made a comment, and I was about to
Oh, I
respond.
said I can't see the comments on StreamYard
I
though.
got you.
Okay.
I got you. Okay. Um, my issue with my issue. Oh goodness gracious, it's not working.
I can hear you though
You can hear me.
on
Okay,
StreamYard.
you can hear me. Well, then I'm just gonna leave my screen black, because that's better if you can hear me. Um, my issue with dark money is not so much what a person is or is not supporting. My issue is the fact that you do not want me to know that you're paying for it. Um, and because this is about business, a lot of it has to do with big business. I feel like I have a right to shop and spend my money where I want to spend my money. So if I don't know that XYZ company is in support of a law or a bill that I don't necessarily in support of, then I'm going to go to ABC company. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Do you see what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And but if XYZ company doesn't want for me to know that they are, spending money on a particular bill that I don't support, then I have a problem with that. I have a problem with that. I think
Hmm.
you should be able to let me know.
Right.
I don't think there should be any reason why. Yes, XYZ company wants to spend $6 billion telling people that they don't need to eat bologna. Okay, yeah, that's fine. If you feel like you want to do that, I think bologna is wonderful. So I'm not gonna spend my money with XYZ company. So that is but that's my take on that. But let's look at this next screen right quick here. Um, one of the pillars, I've put in a couple of screens about the pillars on Whosoever Will, and one of the pillars is across political party lines. I think it's very important for us to recognize that the issues that we're talking about here are supposed to be, if you're not taking a preference, Republican or Democrat, or Libertarian for that matter, but that you are saying, okay, what is the issue in and of itself, and whether or not it is a benefit to people as a whole. So I wanted to point that out. I also wanted to point out that a lot of the times when it comes to dark money, the people that are spending say, well, I'm just exercising my free speech. And the question about that is this an exercise of your free speech, or is this a purchase of a candidate? And those are two different things. If this particular candidate is going to now owe you and be obligated to you later on because you gave XYZ amount of money, then I think as a voter I should know that. I feel like I should know, because each time something happens, I'm gonna say, "Oh, okay. Well, so and so paid to make sure," because there can be things like bills being delayed that necessarily don't need to be delayed. A lot of stuff will start adding up when you see if a particular candidate feels obligated based on the fact that someone gave. Um, so that's my concern when it comes to dark money. This
And I
person,
mean,
go ahead.
I'm sorry,
No.
as it should be
Mm.
a concern because I guess what I'm saying is because when we're saying that, how could it be anything else? It's the purchase. You know what I mean? I'm giving this out of what, just the goodness of your heart. Is that what you're? I mean, I guess what I'm trying to say is, in the concept of dark money, what is it that they're trying to get us to believe? As far as I'm exercising my right to free speech, what does that have to do with the candidate that you just gave a substantial amount of money to? Not $100 donation, but a substantial amount of make a difference amount of money to. How is that how exactly are they expecting us to perceive this? Meaning, why do I don't know if I would even wonder. I would just automatically say you paid for it. They owe you. They owe you because I don't. It's not philanthropy. They owe you. Because if it doesn't go their way and you think that I'm going to not think you're knocking on their door and you gave them thousands of dollars, that's just not even the American way. So I guess my thing is for people to look at that and think about that and cause them to actually sit down and pause and say, wait a minute, why are these things allowed to go on? Because we quietly let them. I
Well, it's
mean, there's
interesting.
nothing, I guess there's nothing else you could convince me that it would be, I guess is what I'm saying.
I got you. Well, this person is in a proponent of dark money, and they say that these people that are giving this money are philanthropists. They call them philanthropists. They say our country needs more patriotic philanthropists, not fewer. We should celebrate and applaud their incredible generosity and commitment to preserving the Constitution. That's what this person says.
Okay, so let me tell you where we need philanthropists. I can tell you where some philanthropists are needed. We got children that have schools that don't even have the proper things that they need. And I mean, if that's not the basis of fixing any issue whatsoever, from gun control, police reform, any issue, the basis is the education system. So why do the philanthropists feel like their money would go better there than somewhere in the place where they live? I'm sure that if you live in any city in the United States, you have homelessness, you have mental health issues, you have issues with the education system, you have issues with where these children going, you got issues with the foster care system. There are a lot of places that philanthropists can put their money and they don't see a harvest coming back immediately. Because see, if I really want to give out of the giving of my heart, I'm not even watching that anymore. Has nothing else to do with me. I dropped it somewhere where I knew for a fact it would be good money. Politics is not that. You can't even, you're not supposed to be able to guarantee it. So what is that really saying? I mean, and that's not me challenging. I guess that's me saying we do need more philanthropists, but that's the difference of me giving a dude $1 on camera or me giving a dude $1 and keeping it walking. There's a big difference. Me giving it to him, me making him stop and get on camera and say, hold on, let me get my angle, let me get the hold on, all right, now let me pull this $100 bill. Y'all see this? Make sure you zoom in on it. My God, I know you homeless. I know you homeless, my guy. Here you go. Here you go. You know what I mean? Versus I just gave him $100 and I kept it pushing and nobody knows. But I knew that it would do something because of where I put it. You understand? So I guess maybe I have a different perspective on if that's philanthropy or not. Because again, if you're getting a result or something that you want out of it, that's not the definition. It's
Another person's quote in response, because we did not get through all of these slides, but what you're talking about is so funny to me because of some of the comments that I saw. And this is what one person said. The Bible commands Christians to give to the local church, but that should not be the end of our charitable giving. We should support parachurch ministries, missionaries, and social service groups. And we should support political organizations and candidates who share our beliefs and advance our values in the public square. We need good people to advance good ideas in public life, and that takes money.
that actually takes the Holy Spirit, but whatever. I I'm not saying that we don't need people to give. I am saying look at who you're giving to and look at the results that you're really trying to get. And are you really giving to get said? Matter of fact, what are the results? You know, again, if the results are going to be the people, if the results are going to make this a great place to live, which is what we, I mean, I don't know what we all want. I know me, I just want to be able to live, eat good, be happy. You know, if we're sending my children to school, I want the teachers to be paid. If the police are really policing the right way, I want them to be paid, trained, educated. I want it, you know, that type of thing. Those are the things that are concerning to a lot of Americans. Taxes, how much the food costs. Like I'm talking about people who are living in this life, people who don't have thousands to be tossing around. So we're not talking to the philanthropist, maybe. You know what I mean? I don't understand where the line of philanthropy goes